In 3 seconds, it goes from 0 to 70 miles per hour. Not approximately, not in ideal conditions on a flat track with a running start, consistently, repeatedly on uneven savannah grass, while simultaneously tracking a target that is doing everything in its biology to not be caught. The cheetah just accelerated faster than a Formula One car off the line. And we're not going to talk about the cheetah girls today. We're going to talk about the cheetah, the wild animal, the real one, the one that makes Formula One engineers slightly uncomfortable when someone runs the comparison. Before this video is over, you are going to understand 3 things about the cheetah that completely change how you see it. The first is what the speed actually is, not the number, but the biology, the mechanics, the specific engineering decisions evolution made to produce 70 miles per hour in a land animal. The second is what the speed costs, because the cost is something nobody talks about and it is devastating. And the third is the genetic story, the near extinction, the bottleneck that left the cheetah as the most genetically fragile large cat on Earth. But we start where everything about the cheetah starts, with the sprint. 70 miles per hour. Let that number exist for a moment before we explain it. 70 miles per hour is faster than the legal speed limit on most highways in the United States. It is faster than the top speed of a thoroughbred racehorse. It is faster than iShow speed. And before you come at me in the comments, iShow Speed himself has reviewed this matchup extensively and concluded they are basically equal. The cheetah, for its part, has not commented, but the cheetah's time over 100 meters suggests it would like a rematch. Now, how does a cat do this? The spine is the starting point. The cheetah's spine is not like the spine of other big cats. It is longer, more flexible, and functions less like a structural column and more like a spring, compressing as the legs come together beneath the body during each stride, then extending as the legs reach forward and backwards simultaneously. This spinal flexion adds length to every stride that the legs alone could not produce. At full speed, the cheetah's stride length reaches approximately 25 feet. Each stride covers 25 feet of ground. For comparison, a human sprinter at maximum speed covers approximately 7 to 8 feet per stride. The legs themselves are built for a specific kind of speed. The cheetah has proportionally longer legs than other cats of comparable body size, lighter at the ends with smaller paws than you would expect, minimizing the rotational inertia that the muscles have to overcome to swing the leg through each stride cycle. Lighter feet move faster. The math is the same math that makes cyclists shave grams off their wheels. The claws are semi-retractable. This is unique among big cats. Every other large felid retracts its claws completely when not hunting, protecting them from wear. The cheetah's claws stay partially extended at all times, not sharp in the way a lion's claws are sharp, but shaped and positioned to dig into the ground surface during acceleration and turning, functioning as cleats on a sprint track. The cheetah runs in cleats all the time, every step it ever takes. The nasal cavity is enlarged beyond what the cheetah needs for smell alone. The extra volume is for airflow, oxygen delivery to the cardiovascular system during a sprint that demands more oxygen per second than the standard felid nasal passage can provide. The heart is proportionally large. The lungs are proportionally large. The adrenal glands, which produce the hormones that trigger maximum physiological output during a chase, respond faster than those of any other cat studied. The eyes are positioned high on the skull, providing an elevated field of view over tall grass. The distinctive black tear marks running from the inner corner of each eye down to the mouth. The marks that make the cheetah's face immediately recognizable are not decorative. They function as anti-glare, reducing the reflection of sunlight into the eyes during a daytime hunt, in the same way that football players apply black grease beneath their eyes. The cheetah hunts during daylight hours when its visual acuity is highest, and the tear marks give it a marginal improvement in visual performance under those conditions. Everything about the cheetah's body is organized around one function: getting to 70 miles per hour, staying there long enough to close on prey, hitting the target. But here is what 70 miles per hour actually costs. And this is the part most people never hear. A cheetah cannot sustain 70 miles per hour for more than about 500 meters, not because it lacks endurance in the conventional sense, because the sprint generates heat faster than the body can dissipate it. At maximum speed, the cheetah's core temperature rises sharply. If it continues past the point where the temperature becomes dangerous, it risks brain damage. The body knows this. The sprint has a built-in cutoff, not a muscular failure, but a thermal one. After a successful hunt, after the gazelle is caught and killed, the cheetah cannot eat. It has to wait, sometimes for 20 minutes, sometimes for 30. It sits next to its kill, sides heaving, temperature elevated, while the core temperature drops to a level where normal physiological function can resume. During this recovery period, the cheetah is exhausted, overheated, and physiologically incapable of the sustained physical effort that defending a kill requires. And the savannah does not give it 30 minutes of peace. Lions patrol the same territories, that they are larger, stronger, and do not need to rest after a kill they didn't make. A lion that spots a cheetah sitting next to a fresh gazelle carcass walks over and takes it, not because it defeated the cheetah in a confrontation. The cheetah typically leaves rather than fight, because fighting a lion is a losing proposition for an animal built for speed rather than strength. The cheetah simply cannot defend its kill against an animal that outweighs it by 200 pounds and arrive fresh. Hyenas, jackals, leopards, vultures, descending from heights that give them a view of the savannah, the cheetah cannot match. All of them arrive during the window when the cheetah is recovering. Researchers studying cheetah feeding ecology have documented kill loss rates between 25 and 50%, depending on location, prey type, and predator density. In some environments, the cheetah loses more than half of everything it catches. The fastest land animal on Earth spends significant portions of its life watching other animals eat its food. This is not a footnote. It is the central ecological reality of being a cheetah. The speed that makes it the most efficient pursuit predator in Africa comes with a thermal cost that makes it the least able to defend what it produces. It operates at the highest energy expenditure of any cat during the hunt and receives the lowest guaranteed caloric return. The cheetah is not the apex predator of the savannah. It is the most precise hunting machine in Africa, running at a perpetual caloric deficit, surviving on the margin between what it can catch and what it can keep. The hunt itself is worth understanding in detail, because the speed alone doesn't explain how it works. The cheetah selects prey before it moves. This is not a trivial statement. Most pursuit predators, wolves, wild dogs, lions, begin moving toward a herd and select a specific target during or after the initial engagement. The cheetah sits, it watches. It may spend an hour evaluating a herd of gazelle before committing to a target, identifying the individual that is moving slightly wrong, the one with a gait asymmetry or a response delay that signals vulnerability. This pre-hunt assessment is careful and extended. A cheetah that selects the wrong target, a healthy adult gazelle in peak condition, has a low probability of success and a high probability of burning the thermal budget it needs for subsequent hunts. A cheetah that selects correctly, that identifies the compromised animal and commits to it, is already halfway to a successful outcome before the sprint begins. The stalk follows. Unlike a lion, which uses long grass and patience to close distance before the explosive burst, the cheetah stalks in open terrain, crouching low, moving slowly, using what cover exists but not dependent on it. The goal is to close to within approximately 60 to 70 meters before beginning the sprint. From that distance, at the cheetah's acceleration rate, the prey has very little time to react. The sprint is not a straight line. The gazelle turns, and the cheetah turns with it, using its tail, long, heavy, functioning as a counterweight, to maintain balance through direction changes that at 70 miles per hour produce lateral forces that would knock most animals off their feet. The cheetah's flexibility, the same spinal spring that drives the forward stride, allows it to redirect that momentum into a lateral turn without losing significant speed. The kill is clean. The cheetah lacks the jaw strength of a lion or leopard. It is the only big cat that cannot roar. The anatomy of the voice box that produces the roar being incompatible with the enlarged nasal passage that provides the airflow for sprinting. What it has is a specific bite directed to the throat of the prey animal that closes the trachea and produces asphyxiation. It holds this bite while the prey animal struggles, maintaining it until the animal stops moving. This takes several minutes. The cheetah, already at elevated temperature from the sprint, maintains the kill bite through the thermal recovery period beginning. By the time the prey is dead, the cheetah is already in the window where defense of the kill is at its lowest. The clock starts the moment the chase ends. Here is the genetic story, and it is the part of the cheetah's biology that, when you understand it, makes the entire rest of the story more precarious. Approximately 10,000 years ago, the cheetah went through what geneticists call a population bottleneck, a catastrophic reduction in the total number of individuals, possibly to fewer than a few hundred animals, possibly to fewer than 100, caused by a combination of climate change at the end of the last ice age, and almost certainly the same human expansion that drove dozens of megafauna species to extinction in the same period. The individuals that survived were a tiny, genetically unrepresentative sample of what the cheetah population had been. And when those survivors reproduced, they reproduced with each other. And when their offspring reproduced, they reproduced with each other. For thousands of years, the cheetah population rebuilt itself from an extremely narrow genetic base. The result is the most genetically uniform large cat on Earth. Cheetahs are so genetically similar to each other that skin grafts between unrelated individuals are accepted without rejection, an outcome that would be impossible between unrelated individuals of virtually any other mammal species. The immune systems of unrelated cheetahs do not recognize each other's tissue as foreign because their immune systems are genetically almost identical. This has consequences. Low genetic diversity means low adaptive capacity. A population with narrow genetic variation cannot respond quickly to novel pathogens, changing climate conditions, or new environmental pressures. The toolkit for adaptation, the variety of genetic configurations that allows a population to find solutions to new problems, is severely limited. A disease that kills one cheetah is likely to kill most of them because they all carry essentially the same immune response. In captive cheetah populations, disease transmission has produced exactly this outcome. Outbreaks that would be contained by the immune diversity of other species have moved through cheetah populations with a completeness that researchers attribute directly to the genetic uniformity produced by the bottleneck. In the wild, the cheetah currently numbers approximately 7,000 individuals, down from an estimated 100,000 a century ago, down from whatever number existed before the European settlement of Africa reduced its prey base, replaced its habitat with farmland, and added direct persecution, shooting as a livestock threat to the pressures already imposed by the post-bottleneck genetic fragility. 7,000 animals. In 12 African countries and a small population in Iran, the last wild cheetahs in Asia, a species that once ranged across Africa through the Middle East and into India, now concentrated in fragments of savanna and semi-arid habitat surrounded by human land use, with a genetic inheritance so narrow that its capacity to adapt to the changes coming at it is limited in ways that most large cats are not. The fastest animal on land is running out of room. The mother raises the cubs alone. The cheetah is not social in the way lions are social. There is no pride, no cooperative structure, no group defense of territory or cubs. A female cheetah selects a mate, mates, and raises the resulting litter entirely without male involvement. The male contributes genetics and nothing else. The litter, typically 3 to 5 cubs, is born in a hidden den in dense vegetation. The cubs are born with a mantle of long gray hair on their backs and heads, a coloration that researchers believe mimics the honey badger, a notoriously aggressive small carnivore that most predators avoid, providing camouflage plus deterrence during the period when the cubs are most vulnerable and the mother is hunting. The cubs stay with the mother for 18 months. During this period, she is doing something that the cheetah's thermal constraints make especially difficult. She is hunting for herself and for the cubs, losing approximately half of everything she catches to other predators, and simultaneously teaching the cubs to hunt through a structured education that begins with bringing live prey to the cubs for practice. She releases a wounded gazelle in front of cubs that have never hunted. They chase it, they fail, they chase it again. She watches, she intervenes when the gazelle escapes too far. She catches it again and brings it back. The cubs practice on live prey in progressive difficulty over months until the technique is developed enough to attempt actual hunting. At 18 months, the siblings stay together for a period, a coalition of brothers and sisters that provides some protection and hunting cooperation in the period immediately after separation from the mother. The females eventually go solitary. The males may remain in coalitions, pairs, or trios of brothers that hunt cooperatively and are significantly more successful at maintaining kills against lions and hyenas than solitary males. Male coalitions hold territory, solitary males do not. The difference in reproductive success between coalition males and solitary males is significant. Coalition males have more consistent access to females and produce more offspring. The genetics of the bottleneck are brutal enough without adding the disadvantage of fighting alone. This is Earthwild Animal. I'm building this channel from scratch, one video at a time every single week. If you've watched this far, you know what this is about. The real biology. The part that doesn't make it into the 60-second clip. If that's what you want more of, subscribe. One click. I post every week without exception. And for a channel just getting started, every subscriber genuinely matters. The conservation situation is specific in a way that matters for understanding what recovery actually looks like. The cheetah's primary threat is not direct hunting. It is not the poaching pressure that threatens elephants and rhinos. It is the slow compression of available habitat combined with human-wildlife conflict in the areas where the cheetah and livestock farming overlap. A cheetah that kills a farmer's goat is not making a strategic error. It is doing what it was built to do in a landscape where its natural prey has been replaced by or is competing with domestic livestock. The farmer who kills that cheetah is not acting irrationally. The animal killed something with economic value and will kill again. The same conflict that drives wolf conservation in the American West, that drives the challenges of snow leopard conservation in Central Asia, appears here in the African savannah. Large predators and farming communities occupying the same landscape with no simple resolution that fully serves both. Conservation programs in Namibia, where the largest remaining cheetah population outside protected areas lives on commercial farmland, have produced some of the most successful human-wildlife coexistence models for cheetahs. Livestock guarding dog programs, cheetah-proof enclosures for vulnerable animals, community compensation schemes, economic benefit programs that give farmers a financial stake in the continued presence of cheetahs on their land through ecotourism. These programs work where they are sustained and funded. They do not resolve the underlying tension. They manage it in providing enough benefit to the farming community to make tolerance of occasional losses economically rational. It is the same calculation that all large predator conservation ultimately rests on, and it is fragile in ways that require constant maintenance. Back to the sprint. The gazelle spotted the cheetah at 60 meters, too late. The acceleration that began in that moment, from standing to 70 miles per hour in 3 seconds, covered the distance before the gazelle could complete 2 full strides of its own escape run. The kill is clean. The cheetah holds the throat bite while the savannah goes quiet around it. Then it waits, sides heaving, temperature climbing, the recovery window opening. Somewhere to the north, a hyena that was watching from 400 meters away begins moving toward the smell of blood. The cheetah has perhaps 20 minutes. It earned this. It spent an hour in the grass before the sprint, selecting this specific animal from a herd of 30. It ran at 70 miles per hour on a spine that functions as a spring, in cleats it never takes off, with eyes that have anti-glare tear marks built into the face. It executed a killing bite while overheated and exhausted and held it until it was done. And now it sits next to what it built and waits to find out if it gets to keep it. This is the cheetah, the most precisely engineered hunting machine on the African continent. 7,000 of them left, genetically nearly identical to each other, compressed by a bottleneck 10,000 years ago into a population so uniform that they cannot reject each other's skin grafts, running at a caloric deficit in a landscape that is getting smaller, losing half their kills to animals that didn't do any of the work. 70 miles per hour, and it still might not be enough. And if you want to know about the animal that took a completely different approach to the same problem, that chose endurance over speed, cooperation over solitude, and achieves an 80% success rate that the cheetah will never match, that story is next week. This was Earth Wild Animal. Subscribe, 1 click every week. See you next time.